Today we are continuing on with our recipes from TV shows I've always wanted to try. We are doing our dessert of the week today. We are doing the cheesecake from Friends. You know the one where it accidentally gets delivered to Monica and Chandler's apartment. Chandler finds it. Rachel finds him eating it because he didn't take it to the neighbor who it was actually addressed to. So they split it, and they just kind of keep getting cheesecakes to replace the original one. This neighbor's clearly ordering more or getting replacement ones because they didn't get delivered. And at the end, they split it. They're done. They swear it off. This is going to be it. And Rachel kind of makes the speech to Chandler like, when you're done, don't come crying to me for any of mine, da 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 da. And she trips. And the cheesecake goes flying out all over the floor. And Chandler comes to taunt her like, no, 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 no. You said you wouldn't share with me. I'm not going to share with you. And she just flips the plate. And his goes on the floor too. And apparently it's such good cheesecake that they will willingly eat it off the floor of a hallway in a New York City apartment. I've looked through the best possible cheesecake recipes from like Mama's Little Bakery from the Friends episode. And from what the reviews state, this one is good enough that people who've tried it would eat it off a floor too. We're not going to eat it off a floor. We eat off plates, like you should. But my hope is that it does taste good enough to eat off a floor. Let's get to it. It's time for another episode of Cooking with Kaitlin. That's me. Enjoy. All right. We're going to start by making our graham cracker crust. It's going to be a total of 10 graham crackers. We're going to just pulse. We'll add a few things to it. And that's not all our graham crackers, so we're just going to add more of them. Actually, I'm going to put in our 1/4 cup sugar while we're at it. Just get that starting to mix in, and then after we get these kind of pulsed down, we'll do our 5 tablespoons of melted butter in there with it too. Almost there. All right, we can add in the last of our graham crackers, and we'll do the butter too. And let it just get done. Again, that was 5 tablespoons of melted butter. Let's just, all the crumbs in there. I'm going to kind of scoop them around. I'm going to pause you guys for a sec. All right. Now we're just going to pat it all down in there. Break up any that didn't quite mix out. We've got the oven preheated to 350. Once we get this patted down, we're gonna bake it for 8 minutes. All right, so just pressing it in. Again, I have a few little ones. Didn't get quite broken up, which I don't know about y'all, but that always happens for me where there's a few that don't quite go through there at the end, but that's okay. Because our fingers can get those last little bits all nicely broken up. I think that's it from what I'm feeling. Sometimes it's like it's a clump and then I touch it and I'm like, no, that's just where I think there's a little more butter that clumped it up. Also good. Nice buttery graham crackery crust. That's what we're aiming for. All right. And some of it's just going to go up the sides, and that's good. All right. So I'm going to put it in the oven for 8 minutes, then we'll check back. All right, so we've got 4 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese in there, a cup of sugar. We're going to beat it, let it cream together on a slow medium for a couple of minutes, getting it nice and creamy. So we might pause it and scrape down the sides just to make sure everything's getting fully incorporated. All right, I'll let that go for a couple of minutes. We'll check back when it's done. All right, now we're going to add a cup of sour cream, and I should have mentioned earlier, just gotta do this otherwise I wind up flopping it everywhere, that the cream cheese and the sour cream and the eggs we'll add in a little bit are all at room temperature. For cream cheese, that means you need to let it sit out at least an hour. For sour cream and eggs, you're looking at 30 minutes to get them to room temp. So that's what we're doing. We're adding that in for the sour cream. We're also going to do a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And this recipe called for teaspoon of lemon juice. So we're going to add that. We're going to let that get fully combined. And we'll check back with the next step. All right, so now we're going to be adding 3 eggs, one at a time. I'm actually going to turn the speed down because you want them just combined. Don't want a bunch. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but my husband is nicely filling up the pan with water since this is going to have to sit in a water bath while it cooks in the oven. So he's filling it up with water and putting it in there so the water can start warming up in the oven. Because it is heavy, and his wife did not feel like having to do it if she could avoid it. And it's going, you'll see him go down real deep because we want to move your tray down to one of the lowest or second lowest possible settings for where the cheesecake bakes. Thank you, sweetie. There's egg number 2 to get incorporated. And now egg number 3. I'm gonna let that get just incorporated. You see it just mixed in. All right, I'm gonna pause you guys for a sec. All right, before we pour the cheesecake batter in, we are getting aluminum foil all up around the sides of the pan before we put it into that water bath. So you just want to get it up around the sides, and if you need to do a second one the other side, which is what I need to do, then you do it. And you get it fully surrounded by the aluminum foil. Before it goes into that water bath. So there it is. Just gonna scrape that off. So we get all that cheesecakey goodness in there. Just so big. And before pouring it in, what you want to do to try to get the air bubbles out, but better to do it than that, and then in this, that'll help prevent cracking on the cheesecake. So we're going to pour it all in. And then you just want to smooth out the top as best you can. All right. Now we're going to bake it for about 55 to 70 minutes. Checking to make sure nothing's cracking, hopefully that it's just nicely browning on the top. So we'll check back then. All right, so it's been just a little over an hour. You can see, move it, it wobbles just a little bit. It's looking good. So now we're going to turn the oven off. We're going to crack the door like so and leave it for an hour before we take it out in the water bath. So it's still kind of, it's probably cooking actually for the first bit, but it's also kind of cooling down at a much more gradual rate to help prevent cracking or any other issues or any kind of deflating. All right, we'll check back in an hour. All right, it has sat overnight in the fridge. Oddly, a little bit of water, what have you. All right, just gonna take our knife around the edge. Before we pop it open. It does taste good. All right. Okay, there we go. Just gingerly taking it off. And there it is. Cheesecake, just like at Mama's Little Bakery. Bon appetit. I'm going to slice some now because it's time to have a piece. Clean the knife so we don't get all that build up. And you can certainly top it with anything you want. We've been kind of just doing, I think we're just going to do plain, at least for the first few slices. Because that is how they eat it. Ooh, there we go. Bon appetit. I'll catch you later.